I'm Marni Wahlquist of Odell Brewing, and this is Brewer to Brewer podcast from All About Beer. My guest today is Alyssa Hoberer of Full Frame Beer, and she is here for a conversation that goes beyond the brewhouse and into topics that matter to brewing professionals and curious beer drinkers. First, please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at allaboutbeer. And to support journalism in the beer space, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. We'll get into the conversation in just a moment, but first, this message.
Hi, this is Tim Shasha from Berkeley Yeast. Our mission is to give brewers better tools that are affordable and easy to use. Our team has been developing Tropics yeast for nearly 10 years, and we just launched it in a dried format. This is a yeast strain with high thiol biotransformation activity, which means it's great for making tropical forward hazy IPAs. I'll tell you more about how it works later in the show, or you can check the show notes for our recent article called All About Thiols.
Malteurop has long been a pillar of North American malting, and they're growing to meet the needs of the modern brewer. Their brand new warehouse expansion at the Winona, Minnesota Malt House marks a new chapter in their commitment to service and reliability. With increased capacity and optimized logistics at the Winona hub, Malteurop is delivering the quality you expect with the speed you need. Discover the Malteurop difference at malteuropmaltingco.com. Senos just changed the fermentation intelligence game again. Their new Intelligent Fusion module packs 5 high-precision sensors, pH, pressure, temperature, dissolved oxygen, and connectivity into a single compact module. One tank port and complete fermentation visibility. And it's built to evolve. New sensing capabilities will be added over time, so your Senos M3 gets smarter as brewing science advances. Stop patching together multiple devices. Invest in an intelligent platform built for what's next. Visit senos.com to learn more. That's SENNOS.com.
This episode is sponsored by John I. Haas on their new LupoCore Enhanced T90 hop pellets, engineered for peak sensory performance and ultimate peace of mind. Designed for brewers of all sizes, LupoCore delivers consistent sensory outcomes, reliable brewhouse performance, and scalable application across production volumes. Using Sensory Plus selected hops and Haas's advanced pellet processing technology, LupoCore elevates hop expression while reducing brew process loss, all without requiring brewers to change their process. Contact your Haas Sales Representative or visit lupohops.com to learn more.
Welcome, and I'm very pleased to have Alyssa Hoberer as my guest today. Alyssa discovered her passion for brewing beer in 2015, starting with a small 5-gallon setup in her third-floor apartment. After earning Best of Show and numerous homebrewing medals, she decided to pursue brewing professionally. She went on to study applied craft brewing at Regis University and worked at several award-winning breweries throughout the Denver area. Alyssa later became the head brewer at Jagged Mountain Craft Brewery, where she brewed a wide range of styles spanning traditional German lagers, hop-forward ales, and experimental sour beers. Today, Alyssa is the co-owner and co-founder of Full Frame Beer in downtown Denver, where she helps lead the brewery's creative direction, brewing operations, and collaborative approach to craft beer. Full Frame focuses on modern, approachable beers while building community through collaborations, events, coffee, and hospitality. Alyssa is also known online as Southern Beer Girl, where she shares her brewing journey and advocates for diversity and inclusion within the brewing industry. Welcome, Alyssa. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. It's always so weird when somebody reads me my bio. I'm like, oh, thanks.
That's me. Have you had a busy day today?
Not too busy. This week is a little bit chill, which is good for us because we've been pretty busy the last few weeks. Just washed a bunch of kegs today, did a couple of keg deliveries, filled some kegs for some accounts. Nothing crazy.
Nice. Well, that's good because you had another thing going on this afternoon. So
exactly.
It's great to have you here.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I after reading your bio, I was really excited to have this conversation with you today because yeah, our relationship is pretty new. We
Yeah.
haven't known each other for very long, and it's so I just thought it would be fun to dig a little deeper and get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. And when I was reading your bio and learning that you were a home brewer, I didn't even know that about you, and that's really cool. Um, what was there a specific beer out in the wild that you had drank that made you want to brew a beer?
Not necessarily. I actually, so when I started homebrewing, I had just moved to Colorado from Texas. And
Okay.
at the time, me and my partner, we didn't have any friends out here. And my family has always been like big beer drinkers. I even had like an uncle when I was a kid who used to homebrew in his like garage when I was a kid, was always
Okay.
like super interested in what he was doing. And, my dad's side of the family is very German, so they always celebrated like Oktoberfest and all of that. So naturally, the thing that you do when you come to Denver is you start visiting breweries because there were only a few back in my hometown in Texas.
Okay.
And I think the more that I tried, since it's such a craft beer city, the more I was like, I was at the time going to school to like kind of be a nurse, maybe interested in microbiology, and didn't discovered that I didn't really want to do that. So kind of wanted to start a hobby in craft brewing because I thought that it would be something that I would be good at and interested in. And yeah, I
Nice.
just started doing it and it was great.
Very cool. Do you like to cook or
I
is
do.
that something that
Yeah, and I think that was part of it too. I have always cooked a lot, and I think it was a little part of the like, okay, I know I could be like kind of creative in the kitchen, and then I'm also like interested in the science behind beer, so kind of wanted to join those things together. And also, I just love drinking beer, so
nice, yes. Absolutely. Very cool. I was just curious if it was a beer that blew you away and wow, I if you wanted to make a clone of that or something like that. So,
I think the first one of the first beers that I can remember when I moved to Denver was trying what Titan at Great Divide.
okay.
It was like one of the first breweries that I actually visited when I was moving here, in the process of moving here and looking for apartments and stuff. And we went to Great Divide. And I was like, oh my God, I've never had a beer like this in my life. I wouldn't say that I was like trying to clone that, but that's
Right.
like a very memorable moment for me. I
Hmm.
think of like getting into the craft beer scene in Denver.
Yeah, that's neat. I like that. Cool. Yeah, I saw you also you studied at Regis University.
Mhm.
It was there anything in your studies? I'm just curious that any morsel or nugget that you got from there, or did you learn so much there that that ha has carried you to where you are today?
I think when I started at Regis University, one, I was the second class to go through that program because I had just started.
Okay.
So I think they were still trying to figure out a lot of things and how the program was going to look. But also I had already been like volunteering at a local brewery to learn. I had been like reading a bunch of books. I had been homebrewing a lot at that time. So I felt like a lot of the things I kind of already knew because it felt like a very like at the time, I don't know how it is now, like an introductory course. I will say I didn't
Hmm.
know anything about business ownership. And they did have a like a small course within that program about like making a business plan and what kind of business do you want to run and kind of going through that whole process. So I think I learned a lot that at the time I thought was worthless, but now I'm like, well, now that I'm a business owner, it was, beneficial at the time.
So
So
that was it, probably the business part of it.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I mean, I think it led to a lot of connections too within the industry. Uh,
sure.
I think my idea behind taking the course was that there weren't at the time a lot of women in the brewing industry, and I kind of wanted to have like a little bit of a leg up outside of everybody else. So that I have this education, and it
Yeah.
was great. I still did learn a lot, and it gave me a
Good.
lot of really great opportunities.
Yeah, if anything, it gave you some confidence too to go out in the world and professionally brew.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. And you did mention being a woman in 2015. There weren't a lot of women in production.
Yeah.
And so were there any like barriers? Did you noticeable barriers that you had to contend with as you cracked into the craft beer industry?
For sure. I mean, even after I graduated or like finished the program at Regis, I spent, I think it was like 6 months looking for a job in the brewing industry. And thankfully, I used to be a vet tech before I was a brewer. So I still had my like vet tech job. I was still working for that. And they knew that I was, wanting to be a brewer. But I had maybe like 6 or 7 interviews with different breweries around Denver, and none of them, there were maybe like one or two that were overtly pretty sexist in the interview. But mostly I think it was just because, yeah, how often back then did women interview for brewing production positions? And it was very difficult. Not gonna lie, I was like very, very close to giving up to and being like,
Really?
I guess I'm just, yeah, never gonna be in the brewing industry. I think that also it's like I'm a short person, you know that. I'm small, and I think, when you're trying to break into some kind of production thing where you're lifting a lot and doing a lot of physical activity, I
Yeah,
think that was also maybe a part of it, is that people just thought that I couldn't do it. Which
sure.
obviously I have well proven that wrong, but it was
Absolutely.
definitely
Look at
hard. It was
yeah,
hard
yeah. And
initially.
that was 11 years ago. And
Yeah,
so, and look at you now. You
I know.
own your own brewery and it's thriving. It's a beautiful space.
Thank you.
Yes. Are you loving it? I know it has its set of challenges, but are you loving having your own brewery?
I definitely am. Yeah. I feel like I've always been a person that kind of challenges authority a little bit. So I think
Yeah.
it was the right path for me. And, partnering with Jacob has been definitely like an adventure between us owning this business and in the time that we're going through now with beer being down. But, I wouldn't do it any other way. I think we were just like, it's either now or never. I'm getting
Mhm.
older, and I think if another few years passed by, I probably would have been like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we took the opportunity to make it happen.
That's excellent. That's a good call for sure. And so how did you and Jacob decide to form your partnership and create a brewery together?
Yeah, so we have been friends like 6 years, I think. Like we
Okay.
always kind of knew about each other and would like say hi to each other at like conferences and stuff, but never really hung out before that. And then like I would say probably 4 or 5 years ago, he approached me and was like, "Hey, do you want to open a brewery together?" And at the time, things at Jagged were going really well, and I was pretty happy with where I was at. And also, I was like, I just don't know you very well. I don't want to. I entertained the idea for like a week, and then I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. I'd like to get to know you a little bit better so I can, trust that whoever I'm opening a business with will be able to get along, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was kind of the inception of it. And then I think it was, yeah, a few years later after we, many beers and many hangouts after that, um, just an opportunity fell into our lap. What we thought was going to be Alpine Dog that closed down in Denver. And
Okay.
Jacob sent it to me and was like, should we try to do it? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So,
Well,
obviously Alpine Dog fell through and Jagged ended up closing, so that worked out really well for us. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. And what a great partnership too that it is very professional and you do have a friendship, but
Mhm.
you also you have that boundary of having a professional relationship too within that friendship, which
Yeah.
probably makes it easier for both of you to be able
Mhm.
to communicate with each other um and be honest and forthright with ideas and maybe recipe development. And
Mhm.
yeah, I'm curious about all of that. And how does that work? I know you do brew together, you were sharing that when we were brewing together.
Mhm.
But do you take turns creating recipes? Do you do some different style, tend to brew different? Yeah, just curious about all of
Y-
that.
Yeah, I mean, we have always tried to be really collaborative because obviously, so Jacob and I have a very similar career path. Like we've both been in the industry right around the same time, brewing professionally, with obviously different backgrounds and different expertise and also different interests. So
Sure.
I think that we try really hard to get input from both of us. Obviously with like hoppy beer, Jacob working at OMF in the past and also just being the hoppy beer lover, like it kind of specializes in that a little bit more than I do. And
Okay.
with like lagers, I love lagers. When I was at Lone Tree Brewing, we won a couple of GABF awards for our Mexican lagers. So I have always enjoyed that. I love drinking lagers. So I think that balances out the beers that we have on the menu. And,
Yeah.
maybe he takes the lead on the hoppy beer a little bit, and I have some input. And also the same thing with our lagers as well. So I think that's the one part of the brewery that we really communicate the best on is because we're both brewers, we're both passionate about beer. I think that we both collaborate really well with other people and with each other. So yeah, we try to stay involved, and 99% of the time we try to make brew days where we're doing it together and we have all the input, and it's really nice.
A true collaboration.
Hmm.
Yeah. And you do. I mean, when you had me at your brewery, it was such a lovely day. And you two, you don't even have to communicate. You're just both moving through space, and you completing each other, as you move through the brew day. And
Yeah.
it was really it was really lovely to see you two work together and your synergy. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. I'm glad you found each other to
Yeah.
create what you've created.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. As far as brewing goes, as there, there's many aspects of the brew. Do you, it's kind of a weird question, but maybe it can spur some more talk about the process of brewing. But do you have like a favorite part of the brewing process?
That's a great question. Favorite part. I think I like going through the boil, especially with all of the new kind of hoppy beers that we're doing and experimenting with like different areas to add hops, and what flavor that brings. I think it's like an area that we've kind of been doing different things with because we have the cold side, we have the dry hop kind of in place. We're not really changing a whole lot with that. But
Right.
on the hot side, I think we're like, well, what if we add a little bit at a 10-minute edition? Or what happens when we do a first wort hopping? Or, what happens if we add a little bit more acid or salts to this step? And I think that's been really interesting to me. Like even with lagers, trying to layer hops in a way that is very like nuanced and delicate is something that I've been like interested in and that's exciting to me at the end of the day.
Sure, sure. And so you said that you mostly drink lager beers, and so that's kind of your specialty. And so, um, with utilizing the hops and stuff, have you changed a lot since you've opened Full Frame, and in the way that you handle hops, and maybe your relationship to your with Jacob, and the way he looks at hops? Do you two ever have a different idea, or um was maybe something that you've learned from him or from anybody out there that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this is no hate on Jagged because I love my time there, but there were a lot of times that we would try to make beers and like save a little bit of money by getting older hops or hops from other people that maybe wasn't like stored in the best way. And I think at the time, especially when I was brewing lager, I was like, oh, well, the hops don't really come out very much in this Pilsner. So if the hops aren't super fresh, then I'm not super concerned about it. But he has definitely changed my mind on that because one, I have seen the difference, and two, makes me pay attention a lot more to the hops in general, the quality, the freshness, where you're adding it, what kind of character does that give, what do we really want in the final product. Because I think before when I was at Jagged, I was like, I just want to brew the cleanest, driest lager possible with a
Yeah.
little bit of hop character just for that like bitterness, and that's it. So I think he's definitely made me kind of focus on a lot more elements than just that.
So you've had an expansion in the hop realm.
For sure.
Yeah. Has it made you appreciate hoppy beers more because of that?
Yeah, for sure. And like, yeah, I'm a lager drinker, but I also drink plenty of hoppy beer as well. I'm just not as a quite the fanatic like Jacob is.
Yes.
So no, I love hoppy beer. I just maybe have not quite been as like interested in probably educating myself like I am now, especially working with him, and he's so interested in it that it makes me want to be interested. So it's definitely made me a better brewer, and I think he would say the same about other processes too. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
I think when you're working with other brewers, especially when you've, had different professional experience, you just learn things from each other, and it's been really nice. It pushes me in a way that I think that I was becoming a little bit stagnant at Jagged, so it's
Okay.
really nice.
So you have a fresh perspective on brewing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you feel if it's okay to share, and I don't know, is there something that you've learned in process that maybe that you discovered because you have a business partner and a brewing partner that has pushed you to discover something new, or maybe from him as well, but something.
Yeah, I think there's a few things, and a lot of them have honestly been like small adjustments that have led to like a big impact, I would say. Like
Okay.
he like at OMF, the example that pops in my head, OMF, he was, packaging out for the market all the time. At Jagged, I never really had to do that. We did mobile canning for a little bit, but not that much. It was mostly in-house stuff. So there's a lot of things I think with like O2 introduction, not that like my beers at Jagged were super oxidized, but it's just like little things that I hadn't really thought about before that I think makes probably at the end of the day makes a huge difference for our final packaged beer. That he
Sure.
just, knew because he's trying to get, the final numbers on that packaged can. And I never really, got any of my stuff tested. So it's just tiny little process things, like purging, a few inches of line before you do something, or
Right.
just little things like that, I think has made a huge difference. And then also with like brewing process stuff, like acidifying, I think back in the day was only kind of acidifying the mash and just kind of monitoring it and like, oh, okay, if I'm within this range, that's cool. He kind of like does it in stages, which I found really interesting to kind of, bring out different or to make sure the hops are doing well at a certain pH in the kettle and in the mash. So I think, yeah, just little things like that. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. So really following that work through process and
Mhm.
keeping your your finger on it too, so
Yeah.
that end product's exactly where you want it as you knock
Mhm.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. And I remember that we were talking about that a lot during our brew days, and when it's added. And do you often test your water? Does your water change? Have you noticed any kind of spike of in alkalinity in your water as, different times of the year, maybe, the change of groundwater source or something? Have you noticed any of that?
The last time we're actually just talking about this. We need to get it tested again now that it's springtime and the ground's starting to warm up a little bit. But
Hmm.
I think when I was at Jagged, I was trying to get it tested every 6 months, and
Yeah,
I think that we kind of have the same goal here. And also, we just talk to people too, like other breweries that are very close to us that if they get their water tested pretty often, we talk to them and they're like, oh, we had a spike in the pH or something like that. So, but no, we try to get our water tested pretty often. And I have seen huge, I mean, just being with Jagged here in the space the past at this point, like 7 years, like
right.
it has changed pretty significantly over the years
Really?
at times. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's true. You're a new brewery, a different brewery, but in the same space. So
Mhm.
you're getting waters probably from the same sources before.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty neat. But
Yeah.
I mean, the space is totally transformed as well. And
Yeah, I mean the front of house has totally changed, but the brew house and everything, we have literally not changed anything in the back. So it's all the same equipment, all the same things. So that I think was kind of nice coming into the building. And initially when we thought we were going to go into Alpine Dog, it was kind of the same scenario. Jacob had brewed on that system for I think
that's
like
right.
3 or 4 years.
That's
So
right.
we were excited that, if we got into that building, one of us at least would know how the system worked.
Yeah, yeah.
Same scenario with here. It just worked out that way.
Sure. And that's great that you were able to, that the system, works well enough that you can, you know, you didn't have to replace. I'm sure you have had to replace things, but
Yeah.
you always do as, time goes on with things. But
Mhm.
as far as, just picking up and, getting those tanks filled and
Mhm.
opening those doors for people.
Yeah. It was really nice, really convenient.
Absolutely. That's great. I think we are at a time to take a short break. So we're going to take a short break for this message and then come right back for more of this conversation with Alyssa Hoberer.
Consistency matters, especially when scaling hop-forward brands. That's why Haas developed LupoCore, a next-generation pellet solution designed to provide superior finished beer character alongside dependable brewhouse performance. By combining enhanced pellet technology with carefully selected Sensory Plus hops, LupoCore helps brewers achieve reliable aroma expression and reduce process loss from batch to batch. It's a seamless upgrade for breweries looking to improve hop quality while maintaining operational simplicity. Learn more at lupohops.com.
Tim here again from Berkeley Yeast. Our Tropics yeast is based on a London ale strain, but we added a new gene to its genome that codes for a unique thiol-releasing enzyme. The enzyme converts the precursors in barley to free thiols that smell and taste like passion fruit and grapefruit. It's super clean. No off flavors like burnt rubber or other sulfurous notes, just tropical aromatics. You don't have to do anything unusual either, like mash hopping. Just pitch dry Tropics and supercharge your hazy IPA.
Malt Europe has long been a pillar of North American malting, and they're growing to meet the needs of the modern brewer. Their brand new warehouse expansion at the Winona, Minnesota Malt House marks a new chapter in their commitment to service and reliability. With increased capacity and optimized logistics at the Winona hub, Malt Europe is delivering the quality you expect with the speed you need. Discover the Malt Europe difference at malteuropemaltingco.com. Senos just changed the fermentation intelligence game again. Their new intelligent fusion module packs 5 high precision sensors: pH, pressure, temperature, dissolved oxygen, and connectivity into a single compact module. One tank port and complete fermentation visibility. And it's built to evolve. New sensing capabilities will be added over time, so your Senos M3 gets smarter as brewing science advances. Stop patching together multiple devices. Invest in an intelligent platform built for what's next. Visit Senos.com to learn more. That's SENNOS.com.
Welcome back. I have Alyssa Hoberer here. We're talking all things brewing. She is, if you haven't been tuning in, she is the co-founder, owner of Full Frame Beer, and we are having a great beer conversation here. All right. Get back into it. So we were talking about the process of brewing, and so your hop world has expanded. So, favorite hops? Do you have lager hops? Has that changed since you've expand? You're probably brewing different beers now that you're brewing at Jagged Mountain and offering your beers are super dry, modern, a lot of pale ales, super tasty. I love them so much.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, share some of your hops that you're digging right now and how you like to use them.
Yeah, I mean, from the lager perspective, I have had the opportunity to be a little bit more adventurous with stuff like that and do a little bit more things that I kind of always wanted to do at Jagged, but just never quite had the opportunity. Just because we had some like flagship things that I, brewed forever, and that was kind of
Sure.
their model, which was totally fine. But I think here with lager, I really wanted to do like a Czech style lager. So we have Czech 12 degree that's on tap right now. And it was really nice because I had never brewed a Czech beer before. I got to do a little bit of research on that, and worked obviously with Czech Saaz hops. And I think that was the first time I had ever used Saaz. So I think that was personally for me really fun.
Yeah,
In a lot of our lagers, we also use Laurel, which is like an American grown kind of noble-ish hop with pretty high IBUs. So it's a little bit, more cost effective to work with, but I also
yeah,
really enjoy it. I think it gives kind of a, more unique note to our lager in particular, because I don't know of a lot of people who are using that hop in lagers at all.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
then, oh, go
no,
ahead.
yeah, about Laurel, I don't mean to cut you off or
Oh,
anything,
you're
but
good.
there was a year I was out at Hop Selection and I met a couple different brewers from over one in the UK and then another over in Europe that somewhere I can't remember where I had, first time I had met them, but they were another brewer from Australia, but they were really hyping up the cryo laurel, and they
Hmm.
were really into using it at um in the just like maybe 10 minute
Mm-hmm.
to like 10 minutes left to boil. And I still have not used we don't use any laurel, and except for when we brewed with you we used some in our beer, but I've never personally had it in the
Mm-hmm.
brew house to use. But have you ever used laurel in an IPA or used it in part of it or
I have honestly, I've never used an IPA. I think it could be really interesting, especially now since I think, Jacob and I are trying to experiment a little bit with like blending old school and new school things, like
yeah,
fruity and a little bit of old school, like dankness. I think it could be really cool to kind of layer into like a pale ale or an IPA, and shockingly have not thought about that. So to talk about it, but
sure. Yeah. As you were talking about it, and that's one of your main lager hops. I remembered that those a couple conversations. It was just so funny that year it happened. It happened two times, and but it was all about the cryo laurel. And I thought
Interesting.
that was very interesting. And I'm sure the alpha acids on the cryo laurel are
Mhm.
lower than maybe like a cryo Simcoe or Mosaic, so
Right.
it could be, pretty nice in the world
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, no, that's a definitely an interesting thought that I will have to explore.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that to, backpedal a little bit about that Czech pale lager that you have on is that similar to the one that I got to try out of the can at your brewery?
It's the exact same one.
Oh, nice. So when you bring those beers out, do you keep going with similar brands, or are you tweaking them a little bit? Like, how does that work? How do you decide to do, like, keep something, or
I think with like the hoppy beers that we have on tap, we also, to kind of backtrack a little bit, when we made our business plan, I think we never really wanted to have like true flagship beers. We always kind of like we have no goals to be like this massive production brewery that's, making the same thing over and over again. I think we were both a little bit burned out on that.
Yeah.
So we always wanted to do like new, fresh things that kind of experimented a little bit, but knew what that we knew that it was going to be good. I will say with the Czech lager, it has been such a successful thing in our tap room that for now, it's something that we're trying to make a lot. We have a lot of outside accounts that are buying it right now, so it's hard to be like, oh, well,
Nice.
we'll just make something else.
Right. You
So
shift
I think
gears to
Czech lager,
nice.
exactly, yeah.
But what an organic process, right? It's something that you weren't really planning on doing, and now you are.
Mhm.
And so you package it, and package it into cans?
Yeah, we've kind of been so the last time we canned through OMF because they offer like outside canning, like commission based. And obviously since Jacob worked there, he knows the system really well. We trust them a lot with their process of canning beers, and they've been awesome to us. So
Oh, that's
we
great.
yeah, we've only done one canning run so far with them, and we're literally on our last few cases. So hopefully we'll be able to do it again soon. But
Yeah.
yeah, Czech lager was one of those that went in.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I think when I had it, it was out of a can. I remember it being like a stickered can. So when you do
Yeah.
that, do you take kegs over there and keg off? Do you package off a keg then? You
Yeah, so they
big
have
old
a counter
tanker.
pressure. Yeah, right. They have a counter pressure filler, a very nice like PS Angeles canning line. So we are able to can off of kegs. So that makes it really, really easy for us. We just load up the
Yeah,
van with a bunch of kegs and bring it over there, and they get great, DOs, and they're great cans. So we're pretty happy with that experience.
that's great. Are you able to test DO? You have a DO tester at your brewery
We
there?
do not, but OMF does. They have, can piercer and everything, so we can test it right on site and get all of the numbers. So we feel very confident that, they're doing a
Yeah.
great job.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, once you go into package, you have to have that sort of equipment to be able
Yeah,
to know what you're putting into your cans, and that you're giving the public a great product,
for
because
sure.
it can go downhill really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool that you have that connection. Um, at the hubs. Recipe development. You kind of covered that with the two of you. Um, are do you have some favorite malting houses that you go with on a regular basis? Give
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
love,
I go ahead.
give some love to some of those folks. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like craft malt was something that I used every once in a while at Jagged, but I think with Jacob coming from OMF, they are really heavy with local craft malt. And I think that was also another thing that we talked about when we were starting the business was that we're a local business. We wanted to also support local businesses and use local ingredients. So we really, really love Troubadour malting with Chris Schooley has been an incredible asset to, I think, our whole brand. He comes here, every other week and hangs out with us, and he
Oh,
also just has an incredible product, and he's a great person. We
he
love
is.
his stuff, and yeah. And I feel like really gives a character to our pale ale specifically that is delicious. He has a new light malt called Yacht Rock that's super, super light, and delicious, and it has great efficiency. And we love it. And then we also work pretty closely with Root Shoot, maybe not as often as Troubadour. And then every once in a while we'll do like, Vireman from BSG or whatever, but
Sure.
mostly working with local maltsters.
Oh, that's excellent. That's so great. So, the Yacht Rock, what do you use that for all your pale ales?
Not necessarily all of them, but I think we have probably three on the menu right now that we've used the yacht rack with, which I like a lot. We just made, or we've made a few that because we want it to be super, super light, really drinkable, dry. We're adding a little bit of adjuncts in there like corn or rice and some dextrose to kind of dry it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then really showcasing the hops and the flavor and the aroma, not so much the bitterness. So I think Yacht Rock is like the perfect malt for us to kind of do what we wanted to do.
Yeah,
And it's turned out great.
that's great. You get that color that you want
Hmm.
for for that finished product.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you know that I feel yeah, I mean your beers are fantastic. I love how you do create that blank canvas for those
Hmm.
hops to just show off.
Yeah.
And it and that's so it's so delicious. And um oh, I'm just losing my train of thought right now. Um so Got the yacht rock. I'm just gonna ask you about the your Czech lager. What malts do you use in that?
So we also Troubadour, we actually kind of talked to Eric at Cohesion
Hmm.
about it a lot, and they have a special roast that Cohesion uses exclusively for a lot of their Czech lagers. And we've been using the exact same thing, and I think it has turned out really well. So that's the base malt, which I always forget the name of. I wish I
Isn't that
remember.
that like a less modified malt
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
Troubadour and Schooley do specifically for
Yep.
they brought it on for cohesion, and everyone can order it,
Exactly.
right? Yeah,
Anybody
yeah,
can order it. It's not proprietary at
sure.
all. But yeah, it's a less modified. So, the idea with Czech lagers that you have a little bit of residual sweetness that kind of works really well with a little bit more of a hop charge. So you have that nice, perfect balance. And
Hmm.
so yeah, we've been using that. And then we've also been using a little bit of his I think it's called Min Mod, which is kind of his like melanoidin-y kind of malt.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
just because we don't have the ability, unfortunately, to do decoctions here, which I wish we did, but
Sure.
um,
That I was
that
just going to ask you. That was my next question. If you were decocting because of that less modified malt that you were using for that.
I really wish we could. We have a steam jacketed kettle, so I have tried different methods in the past, but it ended up just not being successful. So unfortunately, yeah, have no way to decoct. So trying to mimic that kind of, process as much as we can through the malt. And I think it really comes through with the final beer, tasting it against Eric's stuff, which is, triple decocted and
Totally.
very traditional way. It honestly tastes very similar. So I'm really
I think it did
happy
too.
with the way it turned. Yeah, I'm happy with the way it turned out, and also Eric saying that he liked it as well as I think is a big compliment as well.
Oh, that's really, I mean, it's delicious. It had a really nice malt character body
Thanks.
to it. Yeah, yeah, it was delightful. Um, what about, because I have a limited system too as far as decoction, so I kind
Mhm.
of do the same thing as you, but what do you think though? I don't know. This is kind of funny, but if kind of doing like mash in a little bit and get
Mhm.
caramelize it a little bit and then bring the temp down a little bit and then mash on top.
We don't have steam on our mash tun.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Because I was thinking about that.
yeah.
Maybe you should come brew
Fortunately
and
not. I
we
wish we
should try.
did.
We should try that together and we can brew it here or something and we could try it in.
I would
'Cause
love.
I have steam in my mash kettle whirlpool vessel,
Yeah,
but that would be
I would
kind of
love that.
interesting
I,
to
the
try.
thing that I tried in the past, which I think maybe like way back in the day when I first started at Jagged, I talked to Ashley over at Bierstadt and I was like, I kind of want to do this, but I don't know how with my system. And I
Yeah.
was doing, I don't know, I know that there's a term for it, like a loose decoction or something like that, where you just pull over some of that concentrated wort and you boil it for a little bit to get a little bit of that caramelization and send it back to the mash. And I tried to do that a couple of times, but with where the steam jacket is in the kettle, it just didn't quite
Ah,
work. So I was just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do this.
sure. Where is your steam jacket in the kettle?
Well, there's one on the bottom, and then there's two different like solenoids that open on the that it's jacketed around it. So I would say,
Uh-huh.
and that was part of the problem is that I was having to send over like I would say like 6 barrels of wort before I could even like get an actual boil going because it just has to be at a certain level for it to get a
Whoa.
legitimate boil. So I was just like, oh, well, maybe I can send over a barrel, but it just didn't really work. So
So
yeah,
the bottom doesn't seem to put off enough steam
it
to get it going, huh?
it definitely gets hot, but you're not getting like a rolling boil kind of thing.
Sure.
It
Like you're not,
gets to temp, but you're not like I didn't feel like I was getting like the caramelization that I wanted.
it'd be a long day.
Yeah,
Really
exactly.
long.
It just
Like
yeah, at the end of the day, I
hours
was
and
like, is
hours.
this really worth it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah. Well, cool. We should maybe try that sometime. Be fun.
Yeah,
Um,
I would love that.
yeah, absolutely. Um, about our beer, denim, it's in the bright tank, so we need
I'm
to,
so excited.
yeah, yeah. So me too.
I might text you tomorrow or Friday to see if we can come by and try it maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe even tomorrow I could even come by. I
Okay.
haven't, so I didn't know that maybe not be appropriate right now to be saying that, but we do have a beer together, and so it's gonna be
Come try it.
fun.
It'll be on tap soon,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
And Jacob and Alyssa and Lisa from here all rock denim jackets, so hence the name.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway. Um, so you're a brewer first and foremost, which has been really fun talking about the brewing process with you and getting into it. And I think we could go on and on about that. But you have a lot of hats now in your role running your space. And so is there anything new that you've encountered running your own business that's might not be as cool as brewing, but that you found that you really enjoy and you're kind of surprised about that.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, I think I've learned more stuff in this past year and a half that I've learned ever in my life, it feels like. There's a lot of stuff that goes into owning a business that it made me new, but didn't quite really know what it was going to take. So I've learned a lot, and a lot of it is not super fun. But I will say, owning a coffee shop inside of the brewery has really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And we hired a coffee shop manager. Their name is Ellie, and they're great. They've been in the coffee industry for a while now. So
Nice.
I kind of look up to them a lot for advice and, education on coffee. And I kind of fill in at the coffee shop, a couple of days a week so Ellie can have some time off. And it's been really nice getting to learn, the process behind everything and what does this all mean and what does it take to make a good latte or, what's the difference between a pour over and a drip coffee and I find that it's been my like relaxing days. It's been to me feels similar to brewing in a way that it's, relaxed. It's a process. The ingredients mean something. So I have really enjoyed that.
No, that's really cool. It's really opened your world for in coffee. Were you were
Mhm.
you into coffee before or
I mean, I'd like to get like local beans, from different coffee shops. And I did like pour overs for a long time and, kind of did French press coffee every day, but I didn't really know what any of it was.
yeah,
I was just like, oh, I kind of like this roast, I didn't know, the meaning behind any of it or even
yeah,
what I was doing in the process. It was just
sure,
kind
sure.
of like, this is what makes good coffee, so I'm gonna do
Yeah,
that. But
absolutely. So
yeah.
that you do have a coffee shop.
Mhm.
Do you have you made a coffee beer with
We did actually make a coffee beer. I think it was a coffee amber, and we worked pretty closely with Chris Scully at Troubadour because he also has a background in coffee
that's
before he
right,
was
a roaster.
Malter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we kind of made a beer with him and it turned out really great. I think that we are just trying to maybe steer away from, random one-off stuff like that. I think
Okay.
it's fun to have like something like that every once in a while, like what we did with the smoked beer. I think that's a cool addition to our menu, but we're definitely not focusing on that. But I would like to experiment with coffee more in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I was just curious because you like, did you want to mix it? Because you do have a coffee shop with your beer menu.
Mhm.
Um, but that I was just wondering about that. So you did say like your one-offs and stuff. So your menu, you're you're keeping it pretty tight as far as a consistent offering, or what's kind of your how do you see that your menu? Like how do you look at it and what do you want to offer to your guests?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've always had the plan to kind of really focus on hoppy beer and lager. That's what I think what we know the best as two brewers, that's been in the industry for a while. And I think that's also what people want to drink. We want to focus on that, get better at it, provide something that people come to, that, whenever they visit Denver, they know that they can come to Full Frame and drink a delicious pale ale or West Coast IPA or a Czech lager.
Yeah.
And, I think at Jagged, I had done what felt like hundreds of different recipes that was just like, well, we kind of need a malty beer, so I guess I'll do this. And
Hmm.
we just didn't want to kind of go down that road. We want to be like specializing in something that we're passionate about and also that people want to drink.
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. And so when those pale ales, are they recurring or are they always different?
There has been a couple that have, like Waka, for example, our New Zealand Pale Ale is definitely something that we've made a couple of times. Obscura, our Australian Pale Ale, has been on tap since we opened, basically, which I think we're gonna maybe not brew that again for a little while, but it also might be something where, in another 6 months to a year, we're like, hey, you know what was really good and people loved it was Obscura. Maybe we'll bring it back for like a little guest spot again. So we're definitely
Sure.
not against like brewing things over again, but I think we're definitely for trying to make new, better recipes.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And so your Australian pale ale, is that all Australian hops or is it just maybe a variety or two? And same with your New Zealand, is it the same? Is it or is it any at all and you're emulating those kind of flavors through using more domestically grown hops?
Yeah, I would say Obscura is mostly Australian grown hops, and then Waka or New Zealand is all New Zealand grown hops.
Oh,
So,
nice.
uh, you know, when we say that it's like an Australian pale ale, that's what we tell people. It has Australian grown hops. So we try to really, highlight that. And I feel like people are always interested in it too. Like, oh, I've never had an Australian pale ale. What does that mean? So it has people ask a little bit more questions and get a little bit more educated and interested.
Yeah, yeah. What Australian hops are in that?
So Eclipse, Mosaic, and I think, sorry, I'm terrible about remembering the hops that are in our beer, and I think Citra. I
Okay.
think Eclipse mostly is the thing that stands out to me in that beer and kind of like rounds it out a little bit. But yeah, it's one of my favorites and has a lot of like meaningfulness to me because it was one of the first pale ales that we made.
Nice. I'm really proud of that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be. And what about the New Zealand hops that you use in the Waka? Are some of your favorites in there?
Yeah, New Zealand, I mean, Riwaka really stands out to me in that beer. I had never really experimented a whole lot with New Zealand hops before Jacob and I started this. So now I feel like I can try any kind of, hoppy beer out there and immediately know that it's New Zealand hops. It has such a like a specific like I don't know, to me it always comes across as like an interesting like peppery, diesely dankness.
Yeah, yeah.
That's thing, and Ruwaka especially is like one of those that really stands out.
It's so unique. The terroir is so different over in New Zealand. Those hops have such a different flavor and aroma profile than the hops that we get have available to us here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's something that people kind of are gravitating to right now that it's, since it is so different, everybody has had like the Citra Mosaic beer, but not a lot of people have had a lot of these New Zealand hopped beers. So I think they really do stand out a lot, especially to me, but I think to most people too.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I see we're getting pretty close to time, and I wanted to switch. I wanted to just talk a little bit about your Southern Beer Girl presence that you've created on the socials, and I just wanted to ask you if there's some things through the goals of your creating the Southern Beer Girl, are you utilizing any of those things that you talk about in it at Full Frame and bringing that awareness and of brewing, inclusivity, everything, diversity to Full Frame?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, we make it very clear with any type of messaging or social media or interviews or anything that this business is definitely woman owned and brewer owned as well, because I think that's an important thing too, is that Jacob's here as well. Obviously, we co-own the space, but obviously he's like a great supporter, great ally, great person to kind of be like, if somebody comes into the door and they try to talk to him because they assume that he's the owner brewer, he has had this running joke where he's like, "Oh no, she's the owner, she's the brewer," kind of thing, even though we co-own the spot. But
Of
yeah,
course, but he's making a point in that situation because he's seeing that, and that's really
exactly.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so we always try to, kind of make ourselves known in that way. And then also, with different events, with supporting our employees, like if anybody's interested in any position, if they're interested in brewing or sales or
Oh, that's cool.
advancing, a lot of the people that work for us has always been really important for us. And then just working with organizations, like Pride Month is coming up, and we're trying to organize a lot of, uh, queer supportive things. Just because, I'm a queer woman that owns a business, I also want to give back to the community in that way. So it's been very important to us for sure.
Oh, that's great. And then bringing people in the events, will you like the parade and everything will be able to be close by to have folks in and
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we're trying to plan events around it, so I hope it'll bring a
that's
lot more people
great. Are
in.
you gonna have a beer release for it or do anything do you do
Yeah, so
work with any organizations, anything like that?
yeah, still trying to plan out the organization part. I've been in email chats with a few different people to try to plan that for the month of June, but we just did a collaboration with Lady Justice, which have been
Excellent.
like, yeah, longtime friends of mine. And we just made a French Pilsner that I'm very excited about.
Ooh, what
Uh,
hops did you use in there?
we use Barber Rouge and Strisel Spalt.
Oh, very cool. That sounds
Yeah,
lovely. Did
we
you brew
actually
it or was it brewed over at their spot?
we brewed it here at Full Frame, and they came up and did the brew day with us, so it was
Oh,
great.
fun. That's great. It sounds like a
Yeah.
great offering.
Yeah, so we'll have that beer releasing on June 6th, and then we're going to have some live music that day as like a Pride kickoff thing, and then hopefully a couple of organizations in here to raise some money for the queer community. So very excited about that.
Oh, that's great. And then about your space and being a community space, have you really seen a parts of the community really come together and to as a meeting space, maybe even in the morning time for coffee and breakfast and even afternoon, for people to meet after work as well? Has it really brought a lot more vibrancy to the area?
Absolutely. I mean, we try to push events really hard here. So we have like a huge diverse list of different events that we try to host like monthly, every 6 months or whatever. So, between like a book club, like for example, tonight we have Nerd Night, which is always a ton of fun because we have a bunch of people coming in and playing like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or different games. Jacob runs like
Oh,
a one-shot D&D table. So we have like a great group of people and the community really shows up for us, which is awesome.
oh, that's excellent. I love hearing that. That's so great. Um, is there anything else that you like to share? Maybe
Um,
something that I didn't cover or ask you?
I don't think so. We talked about our beer that's releasing that I'm super excited. And it obviously will be on tap at Odell Sloan's. And then we're going to grab a couple of kegs, so it'll be on tap soon at Full Frame. So I'd love for people to try that because I think this is a fun conversation and we're good friends and people should try the beer.
Yeah, I think so too. And in that we use some experimental New Zealand hops. So we'll see if we get some of those flavor and aroma profiles that you usually get. Um, we don't use a lot of New Zealand hops here at Odell Brewing. And so they're so fun and they're always a fantastic hops to play with. Very unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I look forward to trying all your beers and visiting you and at Full Frame and seeing you and Jacob's beautiful faces. Yeah.
Also, same.
Yeah, well, thank you for spending this hour with me and digging in deep and talking beer and brewing process and hops and uh, brewery space. It's been a great time and a great conversation.
It's been
Thank you.
wonderful, and I'm always happy to do it. It's been a great time, and also getting to know you a little bit more. I wish I could return the interview back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was, we just had spent some time together, and you came into my mind, and this would be an excellent opportunity to get to know you a little bit more and continue our friendship and deepen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over the air.
Right.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, of
And
course. Thank you, Marni.
yeah, and I will be in touch with you.
Sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, Alyssa will be back on the next episode of this show as the host, having a conversation with a brewer of her choosing. That will be on the air next week, so make sure you tune in for that. A reminder, visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at allaboutbeer. To support journalism in the beer space, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. I'm Marni Wahlquist of Odell Brewing. Thank you for listening to the Brewer to Brewer podcast.
Today's brewers need hops that perform consistently, from pilot scale to full production. LupoMAX was engineered to meet that challenge, delivering enhanced sensory performance, reliable dosing, and scalable brewing efficiency in an easy-to-use T90 format. Backed by Haas innovation and sensory expertise, LupoMAX helps breweries create impactful hop character with confidence and control. Reach out to your Haas Sales Representative or visit lupohops.com for more information.
Tim here again from Berkeley Yeast. My favorite part about Tropics in a dried format is that it makes it easy to use Tropics more like an ingredient than a yeast strain. It's a great tool for turning tropical flavors up or down. Tropics on its own makes big notes of passion fruit and grapefruit, which is great for a lot of recipes, but sometimes you want to dial that thiol character down. Easy. You can just co-pitch at different rates with your house strain. If you want to dial it up, especially if you're using a pretty aggressive hop bill, then just add Tropics Boost. It's pure precursors dissolved in water and ethanol. Go to berkeleyyeast.com to find out how to turn the thiol dial to exactly where you want it.
Malteurop has long been a pillar of North American malting, and they're growing to meet the needs of the modern brewer. Their brand new warehouse expansion at the Winona, Minnesota Malt House marks a new chapter in their commitment to service and reliability. With increased capacity and optimized logistics at the Winona hub, Malteurop is delivering the quality you expect with the speed you need. Discover the Malteurop difference at malteuropmaltingco.com. Senos just changed the fermentation intelligence game again. Their new intelligent fusion module packs 5 high-precision sensors: pH, pressure, temperature, dissolved oxygen, and connectivity into a single compact module. One tank port and complete fermentation visibility. And it's built to evolve. New sensing capabilities will be added over time, so your Senos M3 gets smarter as brewing science advances. Stop patching together multiple devices. Invest in an intelligent platform built for what's next. Visit senos.com to learn more. That's SENNOS.com.